was like to be where you are. And I always try to come up with something that I wish someone had told me. So I've written down a few, I think I have 10 suggestions to lead a happy artistic life. Number one, don't think of art as a competition with other artists. What I would do is I would compete against yourself. Every time you do a piece of artwork, try to make the next one better than the last one a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. Otherwise, jealousy can rear its ugly head and you start getting nervous about what other people are doing. I remember years ago when Chuck Jones came here and he gave a little talk and I was standing like this far away from him. And he did say to the students when he was in school, he used to really get upset when somebody would do something better than he did. And it dawned on him that I better start thinking about worrying about what Chuck Jones is doing. And he said after that it was smooth sailing. I just made sure I just improved a little bit on the next one. So that's good. I think that's will help you, okay? Winning an award, number two, winning an award doesn't mean you are the best. Not winning an award doesn't mean you are the worst. Just keep working and it'll be your turn sometime, someday. Don't get a fat head and don't kill yourself over it either. Just keep working. Number three, trust your instincts. Your intuition is really almost 100% correct. It has a lot of experience and it is delighted to get the work. Okay? Number four, when you do a bad painting, and you will, work it to death and hang it in every studio. You have to remind yourself of what not to do. When I see a student do a bad painting, I say, you know what I want you to do? I want you to work more on it. And just, it's already overworked, right? They go, yes. I say, okay, now I want you to spend another half hour and just beat it into the ground. And then I want you to hang that every time in every studio. And you say, at least I'm not, and even on your worst day, at least I'm not as bad as that. Okay. You're visual people. This counts. Number five, in making artwork, as in life, you can get away with a great deal as long as you have your values right. Okay. You guys, okay. Yeah. Okay, number six, produce paintings and projects that come from your heart. Now this is interesting. Don't do everything for the gallery, the client, or to impress your friends and relatives. Make a pact with yourself today. I wish that you would all do this. Make a pact with yourself that every fourth painting or every fourth project is for you. Something a little weird, something a little odd, something a little out there. That experience will come back to you and make all the other work better. It's hard because sometimes you're just trying to make money to survive, but you still have to take care of your artist inside you. And that artist does know the difference. So please make sure that that's a pact that you make with yourself. All right? By the way, those paintings that you do for yourself, those are the ones you probably should be sending out to museums, and those are the ones that are going to start winning you prizes, because it's from here. After graduation, continue to go to museums to visit your art relatives. Those are your art relatives. Those are the people who came before you. It's interesting because I find that sometimes when students go to a museum, they look at a painting, and the painting was done by Degas, and Degas was 59 years old when he did the painting. And you're how old?
23.
You're not that old. And when you look at the painting, you start comparing yourself to that painting. What you need to do is get a good book on him, look him up, and find out what he was doing back when he was your age. And you know what you'll find? You'll find you're not doing so bad at all. You're doing pretty well, actually. But we have a tendency, I had that advice from a teacher because I was standing in a gallery one time in Boston, and there's an artist by the name of Leonard Baskin that I really admired. I was working on prints. And the gallery owner had noticed that I had come into that gallery 3 times that week and carefully looked at every single piece that he had in the show. It was a small space on in downtown Boston. And he said, young man, he said, you keep looking at Leonard's work. I thought, Leonard? I thought it was Mr. Baskin. He says, would you like to see his work when he was a student? You're a student, right? And I said, yeah, how old are you? I told him, 17, I think, 18. He said, I want to show you Leonard's portfolio. Probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. He went in through a curtain, it was like a movie theater curtain, and he disappeared. By the way, he was wearing a tuxedo that had looked old. I don't know, he was an interesting fellow. He comes out with this portfolio, a little tiny portfolio, and he says, you can look through this if you like. And I started looking at Leonard's drawings, and they weren't so good. They were okay. He says, what do you think? I said, well, over here his signature is this big, and over here he can hardly read the signature. He says he wasn't very confident. He is now. He says, so quit looking at just this stuff and comparing yourself, because I know you're doing that. And when I left there, I have to say, it's like somebody took a knapsack off my back of worry about how am I going to be. So, Boris Mirsky, that's his name, just came to me. I'm glad I had that experience. Okay, it really is just simply not a fair comparison that you have a tendency to do. I have a friend who won't go to museums because he says everything's so good it makes him feel sad. I said, oh, for crying out loud. Go and you walk in there and find a couple of pieces you really dig and then stand there for 10 minutes and study them and get the hell out. That's a good way to do it. And come back later when they have a new show. All right, in life, I want you to be a generous person. I have yet to hear any woman in my life brag about her boyfriend or her husband as being cheap. I love my husband so much, he's such a cheap guy. So can you be generous of spirit? That's what I would ask you to be. When someone buys a painting of yours or you work on a project, when you're done, go man up a little drawing. Find out something about the person you just did the project for. Make a little drawing. You have the skill. Not everybody can do what you do already. Just think of all your friends in high school. They can't do what you do at all. They think it was you were touched by God, and that's magically how you got here. Do a little drawing, mat it. Now, if you want to go one more, frame it, and hand it to them as a appreciation gift, a gratitude for the project. They will remember you over all the other artists who take the check and say, see you later. Hope you call me. That's from a teacher who was in graduate school, taught me to do that. And I have done it a lot, and people they act like the thing that I gave them is more important than the thing that they paid me for. Interesting. Okay, we're almost getting there. Stay close to your friends, as it was mentioned already. Instead of your colleagues will be working on a project and they're going to need other people. They're going to remember you because they remember what you were like in school. There aren't that many people that you can do that with. So that tribe that you're in is really important. And if you will share with each other, that will help a lot. Pay kindnesses forward. Try to be grateful for anything that comes your way. Just even the smallest things. I've had things where people asked me to do a painting of a dog. I love dogs, that was easy. But they wanted me to put a little collar on the dog, a little bow tie on the dog. Okay. And then they asked me if I'd put a little sweater on the dog. And then they wanted a little hat. And I thought, wow, if my teachers could see me now. And you know what happened with that? The husband came home. Oh, by the way, she said, can you, as I brought the painting to the home, it was a very lavish home. I went up this grand staircase, and we put the dog there. It was an obnoxious dog, by the way. He had a little pink thing that he slept on, and he wasn't a nice dog. And she said, well, could you fix a few of the hairs on his, because I don't think it's quite him. So I put a few more hairs on, and when she saw it, she started to cry. She said, oh, it looks just like him. The husband came home, and he said to me, thanks for doing that damn dog. I can't stand him. He says, I ended up doing a portrait. I ended up making $30,000 on that deal. because he wanted me to do paintings for his office. He wanted me to do a painting of his of an office portrait of his partner who was about to retire, all because I was willing to do that goofy painting of a dog. So you never know. By the way, that portrait was turned down by my friend, who called me up and said, "Mike, I just can't swallow it. You do it." Okay. I also did something for the Franklin Mint once, and my friend said to me, "Oh, Mike, you're going to do stuff for the Franklin Mint?" They used to do things that are kind of tacky on the back of magazines. I said, "Yeah, I'm going to bring some class to the place." So I went there, and when I was all done, they treated me royally. It was really great to do it. And I did four big etchings of the four important events in aviation history. And when I was done, all my friends who said that I was so tacky to do that were calling up the Franklin Mint and telling them that I told them that they should be hired because I recommended them. So again, it's something, sometimes when people start talking to you about doing a project, this is what I want you to do. It's like a good husband. You start going like this before you do anything else, and all it means is that you're in agreement and you're agreeable and you're willing to do just about anything to get experience, especially in the beginning of your career. Okay, one last thing that I think will be helpful. One time I was in Washington, D.C., and I was about to go on television, and I hadn't been on television before. I'd been interviewed on the radio, but never the television. And I was sitting there, and I was a wreck. And I was supposed to talk about a book that I had done on my grandfather when he was put in a nursing home called Images of Age. And the woman sitting there was very calm, and she looked over at me. She says, "Young man, you're shaking." I said, "Yeah, I'm scared." She said, "Let me give you a bit of advice. I'm going to pass this on to you. Don't be scared, be excited." She says, "It feels the same." I was sweating, I was shaking. So whenever that happens to me now, I think, oh, this is the exciting time. And it works every time. Whenever I'm about to do something, it's like public speaking, you know? When people say, "Oh, I would like to be able to do that." It's different than walking up here and taking the microphone and talking. It can be scary. So what I want to say to you in life, don't be scared, be excited. Okay? Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll be brief. I've given a lot of advice over these last few years. We've got 11 MFA students graduating, which is remarkable.